officially draft season, baby. And we're doing it. Draft potting it up. My guy Jake's there from the Shrine Bowl. All sorts of Senior Bowl obzos. And all sorts of mocks, rumors. You name it. Draft time through and through right now. Thumbs. All of them. DNVR Draft Pod. Got the fellas in full, cracking each other up.
The pre-show conversations are just
They're
the
always
best.
the best. They're always the best. The Toyota chat could never imagine or understand the greatness that are our off-camera combos. We're getting our tweets out.
Yep.
Henry, how are you doing?
I'm good. See, I always am torn because I get asked the same question in the morning. It's like, do I give the same story?
No. We expect you to. I expect you to diversify.
There too. Okay, we'll go back to
Aren't you doing that in your normal life, though?
repeating stories.
No.
Oh,
Diversifying.
yeah. I mean,
I keep
can
it fresh. I keep it entertaining. You know, you
Okay.
ask me how I'm doing, Riley. I'm like, I've got stories. I've got anecdotes. I've got like, oh, Riley, you know, I was betting on some college hoops. Or
Well,
like,
here's my problem. Here's my
Hank,
problem. Here's
I
my
like saw
problem.
something terrible about Montana. You
Yeah.
know, or like, Jake, did you see this about the Buffs? You know, I've got anecdotes.
Yeah, well, see, my anecdote from this morning was about how I accidentally microwaved my head yesterday. But we don't want that one because we can't reuse it. And so we'll go to my girlfriend had never used an ATM before this weekend. Got up to Monarch,
Wow.
had to pull out some cash, and she was like, how do I do it? And I was like, it's an ATM. She's like, I've never used one.
That's legend shit right
Yeah.
there.
So does
When
that
you
make
say Monarch, do you mean Monarch Pass?
Casino.
Okay.
It was my birthday, so we went up there, went to the
Happy
buffet.
birthday, bro.
And if anybody ever goes up
birthday.
there, I cannot recommend the buffet enough. I would say the shrimp cocktail,
Really?
the salad,
Uh-huh.
the ribs, the tacos.
Okay.
Of course, the crab legs, the lobster.
Wow.
The ice cream is insane.
Oh my gosh, they brought
they
it.
had, what's it called? Chipotle?
That
Chiapino.
doesn't sa-
Chiapino has like clams and like the
Are you familiar with this? Though?
clams and
Japino?
yeah, that might be how you say it. It has
No,
like
no,
seafood.
I was literally
I don't
trying to
know.
repeat what you were saying.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd also recommend the breadsticks.
That's fun. We were talking about opposable thumbs before we came in.
Yeah, it's been a wild 3 minutes.
I think this show is kind of the opposable thumbs of the MVR Broncos.
Wow.
Like it would just be a normal animal podcast if it wasn't for
Yeah.
us
I think that's a good.
being able to bring in.
And the Broncos show maybe is like your pointer finger.
Right.
It's
totally.
like who's the
ring finger?
We're not. There's
Those
two
are
of them
kind
are
of
married.
useless.
They
I mean,
nobody
index
wants that.
fingers are pretty important.
Yeah, they are. They are. None more than
Actually,
the middle finger, but we will
That
be
is-
showing those.
Yeah.
Low
We will
key, the
not
most
be showing
important finger,
those.
did you know, is the pinky for grip strength?
Stop it.
Really?
Yeah. Try to grip shit without your pinky.
Yeah, it's hard.
How does that go?
That's hard. I mean,
Huh.
like this.
Grip, Dre. Like,
yeah, you
like-
can
like
you
lifting.
can use two.
Lifting my teeth. Ooh, actually, that's a
That's-
little.
yeah.
That's classy.
That's a little, classy right here.
Let's talk some
Thank
ball.
you all for the thumbs up.
Four of
I
them.
expect some comments in the Toyota
And
chat.
some
soon
index
enough.
fingers up. Some ring fingers up.
Yeah, absolutely.
No middle fingers, of
oh,
course.
there's Jose, my guy.
Hey, sleep on the
Jose was
pinkies.
gonna be here. You love to see it. Okay, we've honestly got so much to get into.
We do,
Yeah.
yes.
I'm switching the order of the show. I didn't tell you guys
shoot,
ahead,
okay.
but we're getting into the topic that's in the headline first off.
Okay.
I didn't want to bait people. So,
No.
NFL.com. Daniel Jeremiah, Bucky Brooks, they both released a mock since we last spoke, and they both have the Broncos taking a defender, and it's not just a defender, it's one of the top safeties in this class. Bucky Brooks gave the Broncos Malachi Starks, number 24, for the Georgia Bulldogs, an absolute superstar, 3-year starter for the Bulldogs. This was a guy, I think like 2 weeks into his Georgia career, we were talking about him on this pod. Like, wow, that guy's a stud. He will be a name to have. The rare safety that seems penciled in as a first-round pick. And then Nick Inawari, the South Carolina big safety, versatile, do it all.
Yep.
The Derwin James comps are coming in. That might be a smidge rich. Fran's very high on him. Basically, if you are someone who watches tape, you are high on Nick Inawari. If you're not, you're probably a bit behind.
No, I remember you told me his... Huh?
That's what they would say if they didn't watch the tape. Anahui?
Right.
Yeah. What were you going
Right.
to say, Jake?
Right.
Dre told me his name some point in the season, and I watched just like one game and was like, yep, I'm in.
Big old number 7. And that South Carolina defense was something
Unreal.
else this season. I mean, they wrecked.
Yep.
Best O-lines they played, they wrecked them. Like, you don't want to see Will Campbell against South Carolina. It was ugly. Emory Jones, like, I think his stock dropped 50 spots because of that South Carolina game. So Frank, as I like to call you sometimes.
Of course. I forget why.
It's
So
an
does he.
insult. It's an insult.
That's
Yeah.
it is an insult.
Yeah. But you're Henry, you're Hank, and then when I want to insult you, I call you Frank.
Frank.
So there you go.
There we go.
But then, now it's gone so far. It's like anything I do. It became an insult, and now it's kind of returned to become a term of endearment, right?
That's just a
Yeah.
sign of a good friend.
It really is.
Yeah,
It really is.
It really is.
Though, as I've mentioned many times, if I call you Big Dog, that's the greatest sign of respect I
Wow.
could give. So, Big Dog.
Oh!
Wow,
I
congrats,
was sure he was
Henry.
going to call me Little Dog.
Congrats, man.
Safety.
Yeah.
How in or out are you on the idea of a safety at 20th overall? And then there's all sorts of defenders blowing up the Senior Bowl, which I think we might also want to get into.
Yeah, I'm all in on a safety. I personally am. And that, DMVR Broncos show, not a popular opinion.
So that replaces PJ Locke.
Yep.
Okay.
And I think,
It's
again,
BJ with one of these guys.
PJ Locke appreciator.
Yeah.
Also, an Anawari, some might say more athletic PJ Locke. Maybe
Twice the size.
with the traits. Is he that much bigger?
Well, I mean, twice is an exaggeration,
Oh,
but
well, yeah.
when you
Yeah,
watch
yeah,
Inouye, it does feel like you
Okay.
could fit 2 PJ Locks in his body.
See, again, because you're talking about the guy who excels in the box. You want to blitz a little bit, do some of that sort of stuff. And I guess, that's what they do with Brandon Jones as well. But I think that's one of the spots on defense where you could get better. And I also, again, it's nothing against PJ. He looks like a starter in the NFL. Doesn't look like a guy who's going to be going to Pro Bowls or anything, but a good player in the NFL. To me, big picture, Travis Hunter is the dream. That's not going to happen.
Yes.
And then after that, it's like Ashton Genty, Tyler Warren. That's the new dream. And that dream seems to be dying. And so now with no real dreams, I'm wondering what my dream should be. And so I'm kind of just open to anything. And if that's a safety who we really like, Starks in particular would be awesome if he's still there. But yeah, I'm kind of open to anything right now because my dreams are dead.
Okay, so because they are replacing PJ, these are two stylistically, honestly, could not be more opposite safeties to me. Because Inouye, yes, very complete for a big safety, but he is first and foremost a big safety. The Derwin James comp is you will benefit most from him playing as close to the line of scrimmage as possible. Malachi Starks, what really stands out is his coverage ability, single high safety, and a guy who could also take those one-on-ones when he's flexed out to the slot, right? And could cover anyone from your big tight end that was flexed out to the slot to your little guy.
Yep.
Also worth mentioning, Starks wasn't always perfect in coverage this year. Like, I think there are points where I'm like, dang, should this kid just play cornerback? This season in some of the bigger matchups, I was like, no, he's a safety. Like, there is a ceiling to his coverage skills, and he's not Pat Surtain, for example.
Right.
So how does that fit with the Brandon Jones, who he was really good in one-on-one coverage this year? Obviously, we know he can do the blitzing stuff. He's solid deep as well. Do we like having two of those guys?
How much do you trust Brandon Jones? Would be my answer.
I trust him.
Then I would feel good with the Nick Emanuaria pick.
I do too. Yeah.
I mean, I feel good about both of them, honestly. I think if we kind of talked about this a bit on last week's show, but with the box safety, you're able to just do more, I think. If you trust Brandon Jones in that one high spot and you have Pat, like you can kind of patchwork together the secondary and let Emmanuel kind of do his thing wherever he need be in the box or rushing, blitzing, or if you need him dropping in zone, I think he could do some of that too. So that pick intrigues me quite a bit.
Yeah, same. I do think Starks maybe is a smidge of a wasted pick, and we've got Colorado Melonier asking, could you just get Xavier Watts, the star Notre Dame safety, in the second with similar production? Sure, instead of Starks, sure. That would be a fine pick. I mean, and who knows? Maybe the undersized Billy Bowman. You wait for him in the third, or maybe Rod Moore from Michigan's available in the third. He of flag planting fame.
Yep.
Yeah, that's. Yeah.
Enuari, however, is a bit more one of one. Like, that's where I think his skills are special enough. He's versatile enough. He impacts the game in all phases that he is, like, I'm not just thinking of him as a safety. He's a mismatch eraser and a mismatch creator in some ways, right? And I feel really comfortable about him in a 2-high. I think he can cover some of that slot stuff. I think he's really intriguing close to the line of scrimmage, coming downhill. He isn't Derwin James, however.
Yeah.
No.
Who to me was kind of like the safety version of Isaiah Simmons.
I mean, he was
Just
one of
like
the best.
this dude could play on the edge.
Could
Like, he's a
Starks be some
phenom.
of that though? Just small. Again, like you have the man cover skills, you have the deep skills. Does he fit that mold better than in Manowari?
I think it's the opposite though, where Starks, you are devaluing his greatest skill set and asset by keeping him closer to the line of scrimmage.
Okay. It's
I
the
think
range
he's-
that you really like.
Right. It's the range. He's the further from the line of scrimmage, the more we are valuing and being able to maximize him.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, in some ways with BJ, I almost wonder if, and frankly, on the defensive needs sides of things, it's pretty low down the list.
Yeah.
And golf ball linebacker, interior D line might be.
I don't know. The
might
playoff
be
game was
higher.
pretty.
And that's yeah.
that was pretty telling to me that the Broncos just have to get better at safety. And I
Yeah.
not saying that you have to go spend $15 million on a guy in free agency and draft someone in the first round. Like, it's not like you got to remake the whole safety room because you do have a guy in Brandon Jones that you like, but it's got to get better.
Yeah. I think there was a lot in that playoff game though, where it's like PJ didn't have his best game, but also like in the trenches, the Broncos just got beat up in a way that they never have. Like that defensive line did nothing. And then you fast forward.
And I thought the linebackers were exploited in
Totally.
ways
Yes,
that
they
no
were.
other
Totally.
team had exploited them really this season.
The tricky part for me though is that then you watch the Chiefs in the trenches against the Bills and say like, well, the Bills aren't doing all these things to the Chiefs that they did the Broncos. And which makes me wonder if you just throw that playoff game out in some ways, which is hard to do,
Yes.
but
in a way.
in a way.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm with you. It's tough, and we know this team is in still a bit of a rebuilding phase, but to me, it just showed how far the roster has to go
Yeah.
to actually get to championship caliber.
That's fair. Do you worry at all about Emanwari playing through all 3 downs?
Do I worry about him playing all 3 downs? No, I don't.
No, because sometimes with those big guys, they wind up fitting better as like a sub linebacker or like as a nickel corner.
Right.
But again, then when you're playing that base 3-4, do you like the fit still with him just playing as like a true strong safety, or do you worry that all of a sudden the deep skills might not be there that you might need?
No, I like him in everything that's not single high, but I think
Okay.
he could do some single high from time to time.
Okay,
But again, with BJ, you kind of don't need that.
fair.
And the advantage of having Pat.
Yeah.
Makes it a lot easier in 2-high
True.
or single high for someone like him.
True.
Yeah. I mean, all the depth in that corner room is really beneficial to the safeties. Love seeing all the questions coming through in the Toyota chat. More mock talk to get into. Lots of Senior Bowl. I want Jake's notes from the Shrine game. All sorts of stuff. Right after this break. Of course, want to give a shout out to our friends right here. Coors Light, baby. You know life. These guys, you see how chill they are?
Yeah.
About to go to the Super Bowl. This guy just came from Dallas, shrine bowling it up. Do you know how he stays so chill? How he chooses chill? Do you see this beautiful face and smiles he's making?
Wow.
Coors Light.
Coors Light, baby. It's Coors Light through and through. Colorado through and through. At the bar Monday night, here at the DMVR bar, and ordered a Coors Light, of course. Asked can or draft. I said, you know what? Make those mountains turn bluer than any mountain
Silver
you have
bullet, man.
ever
Wow.
seen. Silver bulleted up. God, that went down nice and smooth and beautifully. And you know what? The Nuggets were losing to the Bulls.
Yeah.
I chose chill.
That's tough to do.
I chose
That was a rough one, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't great. Though there were like 5 Jokic dunks to start the game, so that
Yeah.
was fun.
Yeah.
That
He had
part
an
was
incredible
fun.
game. Maybe
part
it fell
was
off
fun.
a little bit. At one point, he's like 12 for 12 with like a triple double and all that. And you're
The
like,
Nuggets
wow.
had the most points in the paint by an NBA team this season, I think, in that game.
Found
and
a way
they
to
lost.
lose. Yeah.
They took every defensive series off. But when you need to choose chill, reach out for Coors Light. Get Coors delivered straight to your door when you visit CoorsLight.com/DNVR, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. And, of course, our great friends at Bet365. Bet365 right now, where I have placed many next head coaches bets, where I have placed many draft bets. I've got Travis Hunter that I got preseason at a really
Unbelievable.
high number.
Yeah,
Really
that's a
high
good one.
number. Daniel Jeremiah's mock that we just talked about, that moved Abdul Carter from like plus 6,000 to plus 200. Guess what? I got it at plus 3,000 at Bet365. And you know where all the value is now? Shador Sanders plus 800 at our good friends at Bet365. That sounds too good to you to be true? Sign up now. Use our code DMVR365. QR code it up. You're listening on audio, go into that show description and bang, bang. Use that link right there.
Bang, bang.
It's all right there. Bet365, our true partners through and through. They're the homies sending our homies out to the Super Bowl. So, I mean,
Hell yeah. Shout out to them.
what's better than that? And right now, new users, you sign up, $5 bet, win, lose, or draw. Bang! $150 in bonus bets for you to play with and enjoy it as you want. Also, when I was using these, I stretched those out for a couple weeks and there was no like expiration. Other books, they're like, oh, use up your bonus bets now. Not
bro.
Bet365.
They're the best at that.
Not them.
Yep.
They are the best. No doubt about it. Must be 21 plus. Physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, guys.
Well done.
All right.
Henry, more mock talk, but I don't want to step on the toes of what you guys talked on Broncos today. So where do you want to take this next?
Let's hit the mocks. Let's go in order. You sent all those links.
Yeah.
We'll start DJ top 50.
Yeah.
Yep.
Didn't hit on that at all, and I think there's some
Yes.
stuff. The top Abdul Carter over Travis. Is that really a
Is
conversation?
he generational?
No.
That's the thing.
Why are we doing this?
I don't
He's
know.
not even the best number 11 hybrid linebacker edge rusher to come out of Penn State in the last 5 years.
If he was number 12,
Guess who it is? Guess who it
Pika Marsons.
is? Yeah, exactly.
Did I get that one?
Yeah.
If he wore number 12 and went to, let's just say, Auburn,
Uh-huh.
is he still way up there? Or is there a little bit of the whole like, oh, he's the next number 11 there at Penn State, and he's a good player, but I just think in front of
No,
Travis is crazy.
That I don't think has
You don't think
anything
so?
to do with it.
I trust DJ enough to not helmet scout
That's
like
fair.
that, but I do think some people are definitely
That's
doing
fair.
that.
So we're on the same page there. Genty third,
Yeah.
which I think is right, isn't it? Isn't that what we've all been saying? Is that he's a freak? He's a
He's
pro.
fourth
Like,
for me.
yeah, like that is correct.
The second non-Buffalo on my board, yeah.
Yeah,
Only Abdul Carter ahead of him of
Fair.
prospects to not go to the University of Colorado.
okay. Yeah, I think Genty right there.
You like that?
I think sometimes we're forgetting Ashton Genty really is that good when we're saying like, yeah, maybe at 20.
Best skill player in this draft, not named Travis Hunter.
Yes.
Probably.
Also, quarterbacks, they're not skill players.
And then you hit Tyler Warren at 5. Are we right there? Is that maybe just a little bit high, or are we convinced? Yes, he is also right there.
He's 9th for me.
Okay.
Again, yeah, there's no only T-Mac and Genty as far as skill players ahead of him.
Okay.
I mean, I think he's pretty special, right? Like if I told you
Fair.
Taysom Hill was bigger than Jeremy Shockey and just had the most insane production I've ever seen from a college tight end, not named Harold Fannin. Yeah, like if he measures the way his measurements are what he's listed at,
yeah,
it's gonna be hard to keep him out.
fair enough.
No. Goonsville giving you the shout out.
Shout out Goonsville.
We love
Shout
those
out,
goons
yes.
over
Shout out
there.
Petros.
Yeah, big time.
Number 7 was more jarring to me, honestly.
Yeah, that's where I was going next.
Loveland.
Yeah.
Which I've dug into more tape. We haven't put enough respect on Loveland's name as a blocker.
Oh,
Because he does a lot of
Yeah.
that at Michigan.
You
know,
have
he does.
to.
Harbaugh,
Yeah.
right. What
Yes.
else are we going to do? It's Michigan.
Yes.
We're going to block. And he's serviceable. He's not an inline tight end. Because again, if you just used him inline all the time, you wouldn't be taking advantage of the greatest thing he brings to the table,
Yep.
right? Much like Enuari further from, right? We just did the whole thing.
But again, like you might also, by playing him in line, force teams to not defend him as a pure wide receiver. Like if they
Yep.
know you're
Yep.
playing him in the slot every time, then all of a sudden you defend it differently than as a changeup.
So
and it projects well, right? Because he's only 20 years old, and you would think like you should be filling out.
Right.
But sometimes at a tight end, we had this discussion this morning, but Tyler Warren, a little bit older, a little bit more filled out. You don't really have to play that waiting game so much. I think that's very valuable. Instead of like, wow, Colston Loveland, good right away. Really good in like 4 years, though, once he's like
Right.
big
You
and
want him to
strong.
fill out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Second contract, Colston Loveland, awesome.
If I just told you he's like a super talented wide receiver at that size, like who is that Mizzou guy that used to be the top ranked wide receiver in the country and he never really did anything? But
Dorial Greenback.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Like if he was just Dorial
Wow.
Green Beckham,
Yeah, that's fair.
would we like him more or less
fair.
than listed at tight
We're
end?
talking about Kelvin Benjamin.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and that's fair. And I think the catch radius and like the length, there is something there. But 7 is crazy. But
No,
but
7's
maybe-
crazy. Like 7 is rich for me, but 9 with Jihadi Barron is super
Yeah.
rich.
And I thought Tyler Warren at 5 was a little bit rich. I think there are some people who'd say Ashton Genty at 3 is a little bit rich. And I think, and this is just what happens when you don't weight by position. Like maybe there is some of that positional value that sometimes just gets factored in back of your head where it's like, yeah, Colston Loveland, good
it does
prospect.
for me.
But if Abdul Carter, Colston Loveland, like I think there are some similarities there in that like young player, maybe a little bit undersized, but you see like these traits
Yeah.
that, yeah. Maybe this isn't as crazy as it feels.
Positional value factors in for me, but there's also a bit of like, there's a fine line with versatility and being able to fill multiple roles of like, is this going to hinder your outcomes once you are a pro, or is it going to help you have more chances to pan out because it opens up more outcomes?
That's fair.
And I think that's where like Abdul Carter and Colston Loveland are on that cusp to where I think their versatility does just open up more opportunities for them rather than maybe put them in a tricky spot where they're not going to be used the right way.
Yeah.
Which we
Isaiah
have seen
Simmons,
with others.
Yeah.
Like, though again, Simmons should have never been screwed up. Like
he shouldn't have.
No, that was
that was a very easy don't screw
Wow.
this.
coaching malpractice.
That's a good off-season draft pod.
Yeah.
Maybe in June we can do a little like let's what went wrong with Isaiah
Because
Simmons?
that was Pants Joseph's doing.
Yes.
Yes, it was Pants. Wait, Chance.
That defense
Yeah.
was also really
Vosif.
bad when they drafted him.
It's true.
They didn't have anyone but him, really. I think Chandler Jones was like coming down the end of his career at that
Right.
point.
Right.
You know, he is a free
It's
agent.
a fair point. It's a
Chandler
fair point.
Jones?
No, Isaiah Simmons.
It's a fair
That's
point.
crazy.
There's a more better than non-zero chance that he is a Bronco, just given the Vance Joseph ties, given safety, linebacker.
Oh,
Going
That could be a conversation that we do have.
going
Ooh.
back to DJ's mock, I found it very interesting how high he had Tyler Booker, the top guard
Yes.
in the class, going, and Armand Medbow, the Missouri right tackle. Both top 10. Also, Booker, I'm kind of like falling for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Real quick on that one. So
Such a great, powerful left
Tyler
guard.
Booker, 14th on the big board. You would think positional value reasons, like, oh, mock draft maybe like 20. But instead, mock draft, he's up higher.
Yeah.
Just a little interesting.
How high was he on the muck?
10 to the Bears.
10.
Yeah. Which,
Usually,
I mean, and then what I find really interesting is the guys who dropped or aren't in the first round at all, like Nick Scruton.
Okay.
James Pierce drops all the
Yeah.
way up.
He's
the
all
end.
over the place.
Mike Green, who I know everyone's buzzing about in the Toyota chat and otherwise, he like dropped to the late 20s. And I am starting to become more and more tempted by an edge rusher. Like, there's just part of me where it's like, man, if the right offensive tackle or guard or the right edge drops in your lap at 20, let Sean do his thing.
This is a conversation we had this morning, and I feel the same way. If there's a really good player, you take the really good player. But it's pushed back against by saying this has to be it has to be tight end or running back, and then you can open it up if you really don't have one of those guys.
No way, man.
Yeah.
That's not how the draft works either.
Exactly.
Right? Like, we
Yes.
can have all these positional conversations, but we all understand every single one of these draft choices is made in a vacuum.
Yes.
It's every team stacking their boards, seeing who dropped to them at that position in that scenario. And also, like, look, edge, interior D-line, offensive tackles, or guards, that shit dries up like that, man.
Oh, yeah.
Like, by pick 55, you're like, oh, all those guys are gone.
Yeah.
Like, the guys who start at those positions at rookies, they're all first and second round picks.
Yep.
There's like one guy who dropped out of those rounds who then starts and is actually decent. Every other rookie at those positions, if they started because of injuries, because they were forced into it, not because that was the plan.
Yep.
So those go quick, while wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, you find those guys. You know, you just find them later on. So I think that's another part
about
of all
corner?
this.
That's an iffy one.
Say Will
Corner's a
Johnson's
tough
there,
one.
a guy who's been all year. It's like, oh, top 5 pick, like
Bill
maybe
Johnson.
a better corner than
Who
Travis Hunter, but
DJ has dropping. In fact.
yeah,
He does, yeah.
To 16, not all the
okay.
way to the Broncos, but right, guys, 16-ish.
In the mock,
Yeah,
I don't
think
have
so.
mock pulled up.
Oh, it's fine. It's
he's
Take
12
my
on the
word,
top
yeah.
50, but
Yep.
right, which is low,
And
like
getting lower. Just we'll run through some of these, but we'll get to those later. I've got interesting to see Will Johnson anywhere from top 5 to bottom of the first round.
no, I'm with you. Are we sticking with the top 50? Because I've got a few.
Yeah,
Real quick though, if Will Johnson's there at 20, Genty, Warren are gone, is that a consideration?
It should be, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a consideration.
Yeah,
Honestly, almost anything but quarterback should be on the board in the first
I
round.
agree.
I do think cornerback's the next one on that list.
No, okay,
right?
that's
I mean,
fair.
maybe, yes, but if you
still
have a
not on
chance
the
to form a
list.
top 2 duo like that could potentially rule the NFL for the next 4 plus years.
I mean, it's a passing league, right?
Yeah.
But it's a shift from, right, since Sean Payton's become the Broncos coach, that would be an outside-in build.
But
that would be a Coach
True.
Prime philosophy. It wouldn't
True.
be a Sean Payton.
It'd also be a
philosophy,
George
you know?
Payton philosophy. You saw
Did
them
we
at the
have-
Minnesota Vikings do that year after
Well,
year.
And it's been my joke. Like, dude has an addiction to
Yes.
drafting DBs.
He does, but
and it comes invaluable.
of
Like,
course,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah, and I just love they have 4 young corners I really like, right?
Totally.
Sure. Pat and Riley and Chris Abrams-Drain,
Yep.
and Jaquan's pretty young himself.
Yes, he
Yeah.
is.
But
So
you can still upgrade.
yeah, no, and I mean, if you said Benjamin Morrison, if you said Siobhan Ravel, I'd be like,
Yep.
no.
No, yeah, I agree.
Will Johnson, Travis Hunter's where like, well,
Exactly. No, that's
Exactly.
a different conversation for
Figure
those
it
two
out
guys.
later, you know,
Exactly.
but-
Riley can play in the slot. Can
Draft
Jaquan play
the-
safety? Can you? Yeah.
draft the guy who can be part of your like core for the next
Yes.
5-10
Exactly.
years, you know. Yeah, no, that's interesting. We'll get into more of this, and then we'll
Okay.
actually start talking Shrine Bowl, Senior Bowl, and a whole lot more. But first, shout out to our friends at Toyota. Toyota, the official vehicle of DMVR. They bring the chat to you. They bring the Toyota Lounge to you, which you can see when you come by the DMVR bar. And they bring you the best cars in the business, especially if you're in Colorado. And, looking to get lost in the mountains, nothing better than Toyota. Family car, nothing better than Toyota.
What if you really were trying to get lost? Like you're just like, I'm trying to get lost. Yeah.
I think you'd be able to do it.
Just take random roads.
Look, Toyota.
Have you ever been there?
Let's set this up
Lost
now.
like that?
No.
Let's set this up right now. Toyota, you provide the Toyota.
Yes. Turn it into content. Yeah.
We give it to Henry.
I'll get lost.
Let's set up those cameras we talked about. It can be his mobile Toyota Lounge.
Yep.
And we'll see if he can get lost. I would bet anything he can, because I believe in my guy.
See, my thing is like,
Big Frank.
I need to like no maps at all, because I don't even want a map of where you lose cell phone service.
Yeah.
Because that's like the key. It's like as soon as you get a cell phone service, you're lost. So you just gotta kind of wander into one of those patches and then hope you don't get out.
Would you remember?
I don't think so.
Oh man, we gotta try
This
this.
is
We do have to do this.
But we do need. It's like that Office episode where like Michael goes out to the woods and Dwight's like watching over from afar.
Yes.
And then like intervenes as Michael's about to eat some poison berries. Yeah, we would have to set that up.
I'm bringing
where it's
food.
like,
I'm bringing food.
oh no, he's really
We'll
about
let you
to
have
drive
food.
off a cliff, like honk at him, Toyota. No better way to get lost, explore the mountains, have a family getaway. Henry was just telling me never been to Nebraska. Doesn't
Never
plan
will.
on it. If you were to,
Not a great
I would
place.
highly suggest a Toyota. However,
Fair.
visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota and Boulder Grove Toyota and Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. That's my hood. Toyota, official automotive vehicle of the NFL and the official vehicle of DMVR. Let's go places, baby. And speaking of going places, the DMVR bar.
Yes,
The
sir.
Mecca, baby. Takeovers coming. Nugs and Avs going to be a good time. Avs sweeting it up. That means a suite with Eric Lacroix and whoever he's bringing of the all-time Avs greats. He had Milan Hajduk at the last one. Like,
Pretty good.
it's not even included in the ticket. And you get to suite it up. Check it all out, ddmbr.com/events. I know some Nuggets takeovers just got launched here in a second-aroo. And yeah, it's watch party city right now. You know what I'm saying? So just come to the bar, check it out, become a diehard member today and enjoy your discount at the bar, enjoy your discount on events, and go to the website, ddmbr.com/events to see everything we've got on deck from the events standpoint. Riley, great work on that one.
Great job,
Now we
Riley.
get to just go into programmatic heaven and talk some ball.
Tedero McMillan 15 on the big board.
Low.
Very low.
Low.
Intriguing low. If he slips to 15, are we trading up?
He's the dream. We literally talked
Yeah.
about it on the last
Yep.
pod where it's like the
He's the
ideal
dream.
wide receiver for this offense is T-Mac.
So,
And if T-Mac even gets to, what is he on the board, 15?
yeah.
I think it's time to trade up and get that done.
Genty, Tyler Warren, T-Mac. What's the order?
Ooh.
For the
Genty,
Broncos.
T-Mac, Tyler Warren. In my estimation as an analyst for the Broncos, though, T-Mac 1. Genty Dose. T-Dub 3. Even though for the Broncos, maybe T-Dub is 2.
I was gonna say Ashton Genty might be one.
I think it's a really tough conversation.
They're close.
Can't go wrong with all 3.
T-Mac is
I
a
mean,
freak.
they're all 3 in my top 9.
I've said it before, but T-Mac reminds me of watching like Giannis or Wemby or one of those guys where it's like, what the hell is going on there?
Yeah, no, his movement at his size, I think that's what Jake and I have talked about all season with this guy. It's just like, yeah, it's a little mind-blowing that this dude is just able to do the things he's done.
Which makes you think it might not work out because like he's like a spider out there. That doesn't really work. But then you also say you can't pass up on taking the risk because that might be like Calvin Johnson like. I think he has break the league type potential.
I mean, he's
I mean,
had
look,
break college football
He did,
type
yes.
stuff going on. So
I think the best comp we could give you is AJ Green, and I mean, AJ Green's one of my favorite wide receivers ever.
Great comp.
Never forget the one-handed catch he had over CU in his final year at Georgia, like one of the all-timer one-handed grabs over.
Yeah, one of the
DB's
all-time
helmet.
high school grabs of all time too.
I mean, AJ is one of the best, man. No, T-Mac would be an absolute slam dunk. Jose fears that T-Mac is just Michael Pittman.
T-Mac's got more juice than Michael Pittman.
And at the
Jr.
very
had.
least, the
Quite a
catch
bit
radius
more.
is
Quite a bit more.
Yeah.
Again, those arms, he reaches all over the place.
He's got one-hand catch ability too. He's crazy.
Yeah, no, I think he's a far better separator, and I think he's a little more twitched up, you know?
Yeah.
And then, you know, on the Senior
seems
Bowl
more
side of
flexible,
things, and guys, we've got in our YouTube thumbnail here, if we're talking defense, Shamar Stewart, freak defensive end from Texas A&M. He's one of the guys in the Travis Hunter recruiting class top 10, which is an epic one.
Yep.
He's destroyed the first 2 days of practice in Mobile, so he shut it down.
Yep.
He's done.
Good for him.
Same for Walter Nolan, also in that epic top 10 recruiting class, the Ole Miss defensive tackle. This guy's just got popped for days. Fran Duffy in his day one update wrote a column on our website. And he explained, he said, however, you don't, I guess the headline was, you don't have him high enough in your mock. And then I saw one mock that I put in our links had him like 5th overall. Maybe it was that CBS
Moving up.
Sports one.
Yes, it is. DJ has him 26, but he's fit
And
there.
he's another guy where it's like, yeah, I could see him going top 10.
Yeah.
No problem.
Fran also had some good stuff on Shamar Stewart.
Yeah.
With the
Today,
stats.
yep.
With the stats today. Basically pointing out, freak, 1.5 sacks this year, 1.5 sacks year before, 1.5 sacks the year before that.
Yeah, the production was bad.
Production terrible. And then
But
he
the
went through
tape, he's in the backfield a lot more than you
You just got to convert, right?
some. Yep.
Yeah,
But
right.
as he pointed out, guys with that little production, including like the hurry rate, that sort of stuff, have hardly ever panned out, which you guys should go read. It's on the website.
Interesting.
Yeah. You know, we've talked about defensive tackle on this show before. We've talked more big nose tackle to replace DJ Jones, but a Walter Nolan, especially as a 5-tech, I think would be very intriguing.
Totally.
I love him. He's a great prospect.
And Shamar Stewart has that ability where he could be your Jonathan Cooper as a stand-up edge, but he could be your John Franklin Myers as a 5-tech as well. Like, his versatility is really intriguing. And then Trey Amos, the corner from Ole Miss, has also shut it down. Also, you know, Shamar Stewart was one of my measurement standouts because his measurements are just bananas. I've got it right here. 6'5", 281, 34-inch arms, 9-inch hands. He's just a beast.
That's like the who was the big edge a couple years ago? Georgia Tech, I think, went to the Bucks.
Are you thinking Tavon Walker?
No. He went to the Bucks, I thought. I can't remember his name.
Tryon Shionka?
No.
The guy from Washington.
That's Joe Tryon.
I'll
Joe
find
Tryon.
this.
Yeah.
No, there was a Georgia Tech guy that was like a 290-pound edge a couple years ago.
Oh, yeah. And it was the same class as like Keon White.
It's Keon
Was it
White.
Keon
Is it
White?
Keon
It's
White?
Keon White.
Was it?
Yeah.
Because there were a
Keon
couple of those guys.
That's what those measurements remind me of.
Keon White. Absolute freak show. So yeah, he'd be nice. And then I was seeing reports that Menbauer shut his Senior Bowl down. They say it's a stomach flu, but we'll see about that.
Keon White's a Pat. Sorry.
Deion Walker and TJ Sanders, other two defensive tackles that are shutting things down. So yeah, the D-line's stacked,
noise.
man. This year is really stacked.
And it's one of those spots where in the first round, there's almost no team. You can't go wrong drafting one. Because like you've got 5 guys rotating through in that defensive
Great
line.
point, Hank.
There's
Great
always any team can fit one in there. And that's why like it's always possible.
O-line's kind of the same too.
similar. And I
lot
think
of these top
Fran was
teams.
writing about some of the versatility stuff today. Shout out to Fran again.
Yeah, so Gray Zabel's really blowing it
Exactly.
up, the North Dakota State kid. People are talking about him as
Totally.
a first rounder. He's getting Graham Barton comps.
Exactly.
The first rounder for the Bucks, the former Duke left tackle. So yeah.
With center being the one spot where you could really fit somebody in. But again, with that versatility, it might make sense for the Broncos because you really don't know where your opportunity is going to be. Like you've got 4 of those spots very solidified. And it could be like, oh, you need a left guard for a week. Oh, need a right tackle for a week. Versatility for the Broncos, unless it really is just a true center who's going to start, would probably be very important.
Any chance they could try and convert Ben Powers to center, Hank?
Not that I know of. I mean,
Yeah.
in the same way you could convert kind of anybody, any guard.
Right,
You
right.
know? But I don't know that there's any like past
No, there
that would
isn't.
point you toward that.
Literally, I've done the research, and he has no past in playing center.
Also, you do have Palcho. And that doesn't mean you don't want to add
Yeah.
another, but if you're
Yeah.
looking for remember that there was a 2-week stretch without Mike McGlinchey when we were saying if Mike is back, do you just start Palcho? And he's your backup guard and tackle as of right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't mean you couldn't find a different guy to take that role, but I don't think backup lineman is necessarily in need.
No, I think there's a scenario where some of these guys could play on the interior for you in the immediate and maybe be developed as a long-term replacement at tackle.
Bowles or McGlinchey,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not against it.
yeah. Yeah, and we've got some questions from Jose about inside linebacker. You know, here's the thing, Jose. They drafted Drew Sanders pretty high. And they paid Alex Singleton a decent chunk of change. So I don't know if that's neglecting the position, but Jalen Walker and Jihad Campbell, who the Toyota chat is starting to talk up, are 2 guys that are being mocked in the first round. I think Jalen Walker is he might be that guy where the versatility is more of a curse than a benefit. But Jihad Campbell, I love his length. He's very much the kind of linebacker Eberflus's Colts defense would have drafted a few years back. Who was Darius Leonard, was it?
Yes.
Very Darius Leonard-y, yeah.
Yeah. It was good before the injuries.
Yeah.
Also,
He was.
your guy, UCLA linebacker Carson Schwessinger,
Uh-huh.
37 for DJ. I think he snuck into one of these other mocks.
Yeah, people like him. He moves really well.
Yes.
He's not a Todd Davis kind of linebacker. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, how can I say this without insulting the entire profession?
Yeah. Now you've brought Todd into it too.
Yeah, well done.
You know, real men used to play inside linebacker.
Real men. Yes.
Who
Todd.
could attack Todd?
Yeah. Real man.
People
Great
who
job.
weren't afraid to attack the A gap
Yep.
and come downhill and go mano a mano, face to face, helmet to helmet against running backs and fullbacks.
Knock him back.
Get across the tight end's face, stuff like that. Carson Schwetzinger. He's a safety. He's a safety masquerading as a linebacker. I'm supposed to get excited about how much ground you cover. You're a safety.
That's fair.
That's where we are, man.
Also, UCLA has another linebacker, and he's Jalen Walker, and Fran talked about him. Oluwafemi Oladejo. Wow, this guy looks insane. Fran compared him to Jalen Walker. He's like the poor man's Jalen Walker. So if you wanted to draft him later on, I'd be all for it. Though, of course, we all know about Vance Joseph's history with those hybrid backers.
We do. The show is flying by.
Shrine?
It's kind of crazy. We only have 15 minutes left. Let's talk some Shrine quickly.
Yeah.
What
Okay.
were your biggest obsos, feelings? What was the vibe, Jake?
It was awesome, man. I mean, this game is really coming up, I think, to rival the Senior Bowl in terms of getting top prospects. It had the attention of the NFL, at least for the first 2 days before everyone left to go to the Senior Bowl and catch those practices. I'll spare you the Colorado talk. Go listen to the Buffs pod. I mean, the guys went and balled out. The wide receivers all had great days. I think they
Love
were
the
some
receivers.
of the biggest winners.
This
Go ahead.
slot class, very fun. Tez Johnson's
Yeah.
blowing up the Senior Bowl. LeJounte Western, the Buffs slot receiver, doing big things.
Yep.
And Xavier Restrepo is always in the mix. So the Broncos did want to go for a quick slot. Lots of fun options. Locally, former teammates, you name it.
Well, then let's stick with the wide receivers then. Guys that stood out to me, just trying to find his name, sorry. Antoine Wells, the Ole Miss wide receiver. He's kind of in that same mold. Smaller slot guy, was making great catches in one-on-ones earlier in the week. Probably tapered off a bit towards the end of the week, but I thought he had a standout performance. I liked Ricky White a lot too, the slot out of UNLV. He was making some plays out there and getting open as well.
Yet another talented Mountain West wide receiver.
Yep. Who else do we got here? Trayshawn Holden, the Oregon wide receiver. He was out there. Yep. He was looking quick.
He popped. He was impressive. The end of the year. Yeah.
Tight ends. Jalen Conyers had a great week, I thought. I think he's going to be featured a lot. I mean, just a massive body. They got him in a lot of catch and run scenarios.
Where's he from, Jake?
Texas Tech. He was the ASU kid who transferred to Texas Tech recently. Oronde Gadsden Jr., the tight end out of Syracuse, I thought had a good week, as well as Luke Lachey, the Iowa tight end.
And that's one where you could draft the Syracuse kid and the Iowa kid, and they complement each other perfectly, and you'd have a nice little right. Because we've talked about it, running backs and tight ends, you kind of need 2 at each position this offseason.
Yeah,
that's how you fill that need.
Running backs is tough. I mean, the practices don't really lend to that type of stuff, so we'll see in the game who really pops there.
Yeah.
Real quick quarterback stuff. I thought the Minnesota quarterback Max Brosmer was actually pretty nice. He's the one who hit LeJontay on that big play. Offensive line-wise, do you know who Holland Pierce is from Rutgers?
No, I haven't watched him yet.
This kid is massive, like 6'7", 330, 340.
Whoa.
He was a walk-on to Rutgers, but he ends up making the Shrine Bowl. He was a standout guy this week. Let's go to defensive back. Kobe Bryant was out there, the Kansas cornerback. He was doing his thing as usual.
Very talented. Had a great season.
Holding on to guys a bit, trash and talk, but also getting into the ball and making plays in one-on-ones. I thought he had a nice week.
Real quick, since we still have 14 minutes.
Trash and talk is a great term.
Too many Kobe Bryants. Had this conversation before. I fear more are on the way.
Yeah,
started with real Kobe Bryant. We got Kobe Bryant with Seahawks. There's another cornerback named Kobe Bryant. I just have a feeling more Kobe Bryant's coming, as everybody just wanted to name their kid after freaking Kobe.
Pretty much.
Crazy.
Yeah, be prepared.
This isn't the last Kobe Bryant.
No, not at all. Edge rushers. Tyler Batty from BYU, I thought had a nice week as well. In team, he's massive as well for an edge. Who else had a good week? The Indiana defensive lineman. His name is CJ West, wore 96 for the West team. He was probably the most impressive defensive lineman there. That's pretty much it. Good roster overall. Nice arrangement of talent that they had in the Shrine Bowl this week. So
Kenneth Grant
did not practice.
The 2 big names kind of were just hanging out. Kenneth Grant did get measurements at least. See if that got that going for you. Senior Bowl boys. Can I get into some measurements that stood out to me?
Please.
Starting with Deion Walker, who was 6'7", the big nose tackle from Kentucky. Shout out Kentucky, UDFA, always in our hearts. Just massive, so much bigger than Kenneth Grant in his measurements from the Shrine Bowl. 6'7", 340, 34.5-inch arms, 10-inch hands. He is ginormous. He has shut down his workouts. My guy, Josh Connerly Jr., the left tackle for Oregon. He came in 6'4", 10-inch hands, 34-inch arms. 34, the number you got to clear as an O-lineman. So, and I was looking him up. It's basically Rashawn Slater's size.
Bullied by Mike Green in that clip.
Can we talk about
He's
that?
gone. He's
How
gone
do you feel
viral.
about that, bro?
It's a one-on-one. Also, is slamming the helmet into someone else's helmet like that, I think that might technically be a flag. I think he's leading with his helmet.
We had a league-wide emphasis on that years ago, but they stopped
Yeah.
calling it. So
Legends. Love it.
Yeah.
No, Mike Green's sick. Mike Green's going to win a lot of one-on-ones, and Josh Connerly Jr. hasn't lost many, but you do lose some. And, I respect the game.
only 32 and 1/8 inch arms though for Mike Green.
Mike Green on the shorter side, and he's just 6'3", right?
6'3 and 1/8. Yep.
Yeah, so that's not great. There's some small edge rushers in this class. Josiah Stewart, the Michigan kid, really small. And then the BC kid, Donovan Iwuzurike,
Yes.
let's say.
Okay, let's say.
Long arms, everything else tiny though.
Okay. Everything?
Look, guys. One of these days, for entertainment purposes, who knows? Maybe we'll have penis length listed on
Wouldn't
these.
that be fun? Wow.
Azari Thomas, the corner from Florida State.
Yep.
He's pretty big. 6'1", 191, 10-inch hands. Big hands and standing out in workouts.
You know what that means.
That's true. The only clip I saw of him, though, Tez Johnson's just leaving him in the dust.
Tez Johnson's leaving everyone in the dust this week.
Where are
Right.
we?
Which, by the way, Tez Johnson only 150 pounds. I would say one of the losers from the measurements. And as I've been comically saying around the office for the last 2 hours, what a surprise that the teeny tiny wide receivers are dominating one-on-ones.
Yeah, which is true.
Shocked.
And
And the teeny tiny edges. It's like, oh, wow.
yeah,
So,
James Pierce Jr.
Are they at an advantage in these drills? Like, wow, crazy. Like,
Yeah.
obviously.
obviously. We're gonna have a big Tez conversation on the Broncos pod tomorrow.
Okay.
But
A big Tez.
initial thought,
conversation.
yeah, it has a
Tez Ferguson shout out too. Yeah.
exact same measurements as Cavante Turpin. So I think that kind of puts things in
Whoa.
perspective. Exact same. And almost nobody else in the history of the NFL has ever done anything at 153 pounds.
think
You go back to
at
like
the
JJ
Combine
Nelson.
was just 13 pounds heavier.
But yeah,
And when
it's
I
one of those
watch the
13
one-on-one
can be-
highlights, it reminds me so much of when I was watching Tank Dell at the Senior Bowl.
Okay.
He was just leaving everyone in the dust.
I would just say if Cavante Turpin was more productive in college because he was able to figure out the route running piece, have a little bit better hands, that would actually still be a pretty awesome prospect. Cavante Turpin with better
Didn't
receivers.
he have a couple like banger plays this year?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And they're starting to figure that out. I think Tez comes in with more of that receiver, obviously with more. He was 8th in the country in receiving yards, whatever, last year.
Yeah.
I think Tez is still in good shape.
I'll be interested to see what he measures in at the combine. I do think he was playing closer to 160, 170.
Yeah. Real quick, some other receiver stuff.
Yeah,
Real quick.
absolutely.
Big take from me. These receivers are all over the place. As much as it sounds crazy, Tedro McMillan at 15 or whatever.
Yep.
I think there's still a lot of movement to come. And that's
Sure.
because obviously Tedro McMillan 15, that's crazy. He's way up there. You also look at guys like Luther Burden. Some guys say very end of the draft or end of the first round is where he fits in. Also, since we aren't going to hit these other mock drafts, PFF has him going at number 9. Luther Burden top 10 in the Chris Trapasso draft. So where does he fit in? You look around at some of these other guys like there's one draft where Emeka Buka is a top 10 pick. There's another that has Matthew Golden going one spot in front of him in the mid 20s.
Yeah.
Which again, I don't think that's a crazy take. I don't think Luther Burden top 10 is a crazy take. I don't think Luther Burden end of the first round is a crazy. I think there's still a lot
There's
of
a
movement.
lot of variance, especially
Exactly.
once you get out of like the top 7 picks.
Yep.
Where it's like, yeah, I could see Mike Green and James Pierce being available for the Broncos pick. I could see them going a lot earlier. I could
100%.
see Tyler Booker going 10th overall. I could see him dropping at 32, you know? All those wide receivers. You're absolutely right. I
Any
could
order.
see Buka going like 12th overall. I
Yep.
could see him going 28th.
I could see him go second round.
Yeah.
Matthew Golden, if he doesn't run well, I think he could be a day 3 guy.
So
if
there's
he
a-
does run well, is he Henry Ruggs type, top 10? The speed is
right.
there.
Totally,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
There's a
Luther
lot
Burden,
of
same thing.
variance, and it's why the 20th pick feels like you'll have someone pretty talented that you feel really good about drop to you.
Mm-hmm.
Also feels like a sweet spot where maybe you could trade down, and the same guys you were looking at 20 will still be around at 28 or at 35.
Yep. And jumping back to the
And now you maybe can get 3 of those guys instead of just 2 of them at 20 and 51, you know?
you look at the end of the big board from DJ, Jack Sawyer at 40, Benjamin Morrison 45, Gray Zabel 48, Elijah Arroyo 49. Like, I think that mid-second round, they're going to be, first of all, the guys you kind of expect, that group, but also a few of those others. So I totally agree. If you trade back, that might be the real value.
Right. Also, going back to the Senior Bowl, Ariante Irsay, the left tackle from Minnesota, he measured in really nicely, 6'5 and a half, 339, 34-inch arms. So check. He's looked awesome in one-on-ones, man. I doubt he gets out of the top 15.
Okay.
Highly doubt it. Dylan Nakagawa in the Toyota chat
Nakagawa.
saying- Nakagawa. Jesus Christ. Yeah, why would I do that?
You missed an A. Not sure what you were thinking.
Apologies.
When there's an A, you say
Dylan, I'm sorry, man. That's a me thing. It's not
It
a
is.
you thing.
No.
It is.
Yeah, these guys can
Sorry,
confirm.
Dylan.
They're true homies. Should try to get Jordan Birch later in the draft. You know who has Jordan Birch ranked quite high in our draft guide? That's right, Fran Duffy. He authored the draft guide. Birch, edge from Oregon, outstanding season. Was really blowing it up in the Big Ten. And yeah, the chat's blowing up about Oregon guys. We've got Terrence Ferguson. We talked Tez Johnson. We talking Jordan Birch. I'm a big Josh Connerly guy. If you get a former teammate of Bo's, we're probably going to be pretty happy about it.
There's a big group that are pretty good.
Yeah, they are quite good. No doubt about that.
I've got some other top 50 takeaways from DJ here. We already talked about Matthew Golden, but 24 I thought was a pretty big jump.
He's awesome.
He is awesome.
He is.
He's awesome.
Lots of fun, man.
He does also. He's fast. He's shifty. He can catch underneath. He has great hands deep. He can catch and run. There's all that sort of stuff. You
Tad
just need the
short,
40
right?
time. Yep.
Yep.
He's very small, and that's why you need. If he were to have like, say it's something crazy, say it's a 4.29, and you're like, holy, this guy's insane.
Right.
Then there's like some Tyreek Hill type comps. Where you're like, he's that fast. The catch race. He's small. He's stocky. He's strong. But if he runs slowly, then all of a sudden it's more like,
That's kind of the type, though.
Listed
It
at
is,
right?
6
It
foot
is.
195 though. That's not that small.
when you
No,
look
that
at him
isn't.
though, you
That
just.
isn't.
Well, Tez was what, 165 listed?
His
And now
measurement
you're
is probably a
uh,
bit generous too.
yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah, and I
so.
mean,
We'll see where he measures because maybe he
Yes.
isn't that small.
all these guys coming in at 5'9", I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. You always
So much for being
5'9"
listed at 5'11".
It's one of those in
Yeah.
6 foot. Everybody's 6 foot, and you're like, oh, you're 6
Right.
foot. Russ, you're 6 foot. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
DJ high in the running back. So Marion Hampton at 29.
Yeah.
And then he has Quinshawn Judkins at 34 and his
That's
teammate
the other thing about the trade
Travion
down.
Henderson at 36.
That trade down range, if you don't get Genty, top of the second, you're getting your
Did he
pick
have
of the group.
Caleb Johnson on there?
I don't
he
think
did
so.
not. I
He
don't
also
think
has
so.
like quite a few tight ends in the top 50.
He does.
right?
I don't think that's
Mason
crazy.
Taylor, LSU tight end, 35.
Yeah.
Jason Taylor's son.
Maybe not my favorite of the group, but hey, there's like a
Yeah,
whole.
no, Ferguson's killing it. We got 2 Colorado kids. We got Harold Fannin Jr. We got the top 2 guys, Loveland and Warner. I mean, the tight end class is
Oh,
stacked.
if the Broncos, instead of a first round pick, had like 3 second round picks this year, we'd be fired up saying, oh my goodness, this is perfect for them.
Right.
You couldn't ask for any
Yeah.
more. And with Warren and
maybe
Genty
that's
probably
the
not
way to
there.
go.
It might be.
Maybe you want to pull that off. Ethan Downs, the Oklahoma edge. He was at the Shrine Bowl. Did you notice anything? He had a Red
did
River
not.
rivalry where he just like destroyed that Texas line. So I've always kind of had.
I'll admit, if he was on the East team, which is the non-Colorado team, I
of
did not
course.
pay as much attention. So.
Good for you, man. Good for you. Rocket? Anything
Rocket?
from Rocket?
He
Raheem
was solid.
Sanders?
I mean, I don't know, man. It's so hard for these running backs. They're not getting tackled. They're
Yeah,
not running
you're
through
right.
contact.
It's such a non-setting for them.
If
Nick
anything-
Nash, tiny.
Yeah.
I mean,
Did
under
it-
6'2", under 200 pounds, under 32-inch arms.
East team guy, though, so I didn't see too much of
Yeah.
him. But Rocket was fine. Taj Brooks was good out there. And then the Arkansas kid, Jaquindon Jackson, I believe is his name. Solid.
Like it. Yeah, there's a lot of tight end talent. I mean, Jake Bringstool, the Clemson guys, doing some
Yep.
things at the Senior Bowl.
Small.
Elijah Arroyo. Everyone loves them. Some Elijah Arroyo, the
That's-
Miami tight end. I think there might be some helmet scouting going on, but I'll allow it. I'll allow it.
Yeah, sometimes those quarterbacks.
Also,
Carson-
when I watch Miami tape, Cam Ward.
and that's where I was going. Carson Beck with Brock Bowers, Lab McConkey, awesome. Without him, not good. Cam Ward with Elijah Arroyo and Xavier Restrepo, awesome.
Dude.
Before that, maybe something there.
You watch the Miami tape, and I'm just like, does everyone but Xavier Restrepo suck on this offense?
It felt like that.
They're finding ways
Yes.
to not. Yes,
And, David Martinez, he has his good plays, he has his bad plays. Arroyo's the same. Jalen Rivers, the left tackle's the same.
Okay.
Cam Ward's the same.
yep.
Restrepo, though, is ultra reliable.
He's
That dude gets it done.
Yeah, man, he's been doing it, and it's not even this year. Go back and look at it. He's
And
been
he is
apparently
200 pounds, which does matter. Yes, he's 5'9". Yes, his arms
he's
are
a
under
real
30
slot.
inch.
He is a
Yeah,
real
he is.
slot receiver.
Right. You gotta enunciate that O. Real, yeah, he's not a real slot. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, I can't say yes or no to that.
What
real
a better way to
buzzer
end
beater.
this show.
Buzzer beater. Joe Milrow going 3 in the Chris Trapasso mock draft.
no,
No,
absolute-
we're not
that-
buying
Ain't
into
a
it.
chance.
way.
He might be undraftable.
Everybody who's called their shot on a quarterback early in a mock draft season, they've had good results. That's been a trend
Yeah,
that you jump on. I think it's crazy.
Look, Jalen Milrow
Coming
at one
into
point,
the week, I thought yes.
sure, but he at one point during the Senior Bowl this week, he was 0 of 8 in
Yeah.
one-on-ones.
Yep.
One-on-ones.
I'm
Yeah,
out.
that's impossible.
That's
out.
playing catch.
I
The
mean,
guys who've bet on them, they've worked out though.
guys, the post NIL era for me is so stupid because it's like people are talking themselves into Tyler Shucks.
I saw that on ESPN today.
Yeah.
Do you remember? I was
Oh,
a
yeah.
Tyler
Oh,
Shucks
yeah.
guy in like 2022. What is this?
I was
Yeah.
burned in 2020.
It's like the
He was the patch between Herbert and Bo.
Yes.
It's like the
Yes.
Twilight Zone now.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, you guys are talking yourself into Joe Milton? Like, what year is it?
Yep.
Who did
So,
look
yeah.
good.
He had a
God damn.
Week
we love
18
you
Joe
guys.
That
Milton.
play was
Holy
crazy.
hell. Oh, yeah.
We love you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to Big Riley, my big dog. Thank you to you guys, man. What a pleasure doing
Couple
this
medium
all off
dogs.
season long. These guys will be at the Super Bowl, so I'm getting on the horn. I'm putting out the bat signal. J-Mike time next
Oh.
week. That's
yeah.
right. J-Mike episode. So we might just do a full-blown Mountain West special. So tune in for that. Enjoy. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.